Honda Malaysia is on an absolute roll lately, having launched all new versions of the City and Civic over the past few months, and now we have this, the all-new 3rd generation Honda HR-V. This is a massive step forward for the very popular HR-V, bringing with it now 3 engine variants, including naturally aspirated, turbocharged, and even hybrid variants. A much more premium look both inside and outside, plus Honda sensing active safety features as standard across the range. Should the HR-V be your next Honda? Let's find out in this video. The previous HR-V was a runaway success for Honda Malaysia, having sold over 110,000 units since 2015. This new version, however, takes it to a whole new level, and unfortunately here comes higher prices as well, because the range now starts from around 115,000 ringgit, going all the way up to just over 140,000 ringgit. But if you think that is going to deter customers, you would be wrong, because Honda Malaysia has received over 20,000 bookings for the HR-V even before it was launched. So if you book one today, you may have to wait for over 1 year to get your car. But in terms of styling, this really is an all-new model. At the front here, you've got unique looks. It doesn't look like any other Honda model we know. It's got bright LED lights on the far corners of the face. And surprisingly, we are getting 3 distinct different faces for the HR-V this time. The base S gets the standard horizontal slats on the grille, but that's finished in plain black. The 2 turbocharged models get this one over here, gloss black. And at the bottom, you can even see a silver line with a heartbeat logo on it. I think that's pretty cool. Now, going on to the top spec RS Hybrid, the front grille over here has a lot of chrome pins, and that heartbeat line is now finished in red. Typical of an RS model, the entire body kit, including the full body cladding around the car, is finished in gloss black, giving it a far more sporty look overall. In terms of overall size, this car is actually very similar to the previous version, and the wheelbase in fact is exactly the same as before. However, in the flesh, in real life, I swear this looks much bigger than the previous version. One of the signature looks of the HR-V has always been the hidden rear door handles, giving it more of a coupe look. It's back here for the 3rd generation, and the sloping roofline is even more pronounced in this version. This to me looks even more coupe-like than most coupe SUVs out there. The back here is my favorite view of the all-new HR-V. This LED tail lamps that span across the back give it a very premium look, and together with the twin chrome tailpipes on the turbo models make it very sporty as well. This definitely is a big step up compared to the old version. Inside, the new HR-V has a much simpler design than before. This is very similar to the latest Civic dashboard, with pretty much all straight lines and straight cuts. This looks pretty modern, definitely more premium than before. But at the same time, I do miss the more unique feel of the previous version that had a high center console, had a bit more SUV feel to it, I think, compared to this. Still, the controls are far simpler this time, and the feel of everything is, I think, much improved compared to the old car. The big center screen over here is an 8-inch touchscreen display with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a reverse camera. This is standard across the board, even on the cheapest model. Now, that is listening to customer feedback. Thank you, Honda Malaysia. However, in terms of quality, I don't think that we've seen an improvement over here. Now, plastic quality feels about the same as before. There are just a few soft touch materials here and there, but yeah, the top half can feel a little bit cheap. My favorite part of the interior is the aircon controls, where the backlight would change between red or blue as you adjust the temperature. And then there's Honda's very first air diffusion system. The corners of the vents will give you a much more gentle airflow around the cabin instead of blowing directly into your face. What I don't like is the big square cover behind the center screen. Makes it look like an old CRT instead of a much more modern flat screen display. At the back, however, there is a massive improvement for the Honda HR-V. Legroom has increased by a little bit even despite the exact same wheelbase, and headroom is not an issue as well, even with the very sloping roofline. Even the side windows are very big, giving you a nice view out for rear passengers. Another upgrade are the rear seats. They are now far more comfortable with longer seat bases, and the backrest has a bit more of an angle to it. I think this is an excellent rear quarter for rear passengers. Another big upgrade is the inclusion of rear aircon vents for the first time on a Honda HR-V. However, the rear quarters are more designed for 2 passengers rather than 3 because the center seat is very raised up. It's not comfortable if you sit 3 in the back here. Another fantastic feature for the rear seats is the tip-up function. This is what Honda used to call Ultra seats or Magic seats. Now it's just called a multi-utility seat. With this, you free up the cabin to carry much taller items than you can in other cars. As for the boot, the HR-V remains a very practical car just as before. Now, Honda does not have an exact figure for the boot volume as of yet, but just from looking at it, I think it's slightly smaller than the previous version. Even then, it looks far bigger than most of its competition. Other new items for the boot include the new tonneau cover that goes up together with the tailgate, as well as an auto tailgate function, although this is only limited to the RS version. As mentioned before, there are 3 engine options to choose from. The base engine is a 1.5-litre naturally aspirated petrol 4-cylinder making 121 PS and 145 Newton meters of torque. This is similar to the engine used on the Honda City. With a CVT, it goes from 0 to 100 in 12.1 seconds and its top speed is 187 kilometers per hour. Now, Honda Malaysia says despite the smaller engine, the new Honda HR-V should feel as dynamic as the old 1.8 version. Much more exciting is the 1.5-litre turbocharged engine option. This offers 181 PS and 240 Newton meters of torque. Together with the CVT, it goes from 0 to 100 in about 8.7 to 8.8 seconds depending on the spec you choose. Top speed is an even 200. The power figures here are slightly more compared to our neighbouring markets, Indonesia and Thailand, so that's a good thing for Malaysia. At the top of the range is a 1.5-litre dual-motor hybrid, which Honda calls EHEV. Here, the 1.5-litre naturally aspirated engine runs a much more efficient Atkinson cycle, and the electric motor gives up to 253 Newton meters of torque. Through an eCVT, it goes from 0 to 100 in 10.7 seconds, while its top speed is 170 kilometers per hour. The upside is fuel consumption is rated at an average of 4.1 litres per 100 kilometers, which is a fair bit better compared to its other stablemates. Now let's talk about the 4 variants available, starting with the base HR-V S. This is priced at 115,000 ringgit and it comes with the 1.5-litre naturally aspirated engine. As standard, it gets auto LED headlights, 17-inch wheels, fabric seats, rear aircon vents, and as mentioned, Honda sensing. Moving on to the mid-level HR-V E with a 1.5-litre turbo engine brings up the price to 130,000 ringgit. In terms of specs, this adds on LED fog lights, twin tailpipe finishes, a partially digital instrument cluster, a sport mode, rear seat armrests, and paddle shifters. For 135,000 ringgit, you get the HR-V V version. This adds on sequential turn signal, 18-inch wheels, leather for the seats, steering wheel and gear knob, as well as a powered front driver's seat. You also get 4 more speakers for a total of 8, as well as lane watch. The top of the range HR-V RS EHEV adds on the RS body kit as mentioned before, as well as red stitching for the interior. You also get the upgraded dual zone climate control to replace the single zone for the rest of the range, as well as auto wipers. That is a bit of a weird decision, leaving that only for the top of the range model. As mentioned before, all 4 variants get Honda Sensing active safety features as standard. This includes AEB or autonomous emergency braking, as well as adaptive cruise control with low speed follow. You also have a lane keep assist system for a full level 2 semi-autonomous driving. All in all, especially with low speed follow, this is now the most well-equipped car in the class. So tell me what you think of the all-new 3rd generation Honda HR-V. Should this still be the default choice of the class compared to say the Proton X50 and Toyota Corolla Cross? Let me know in the comment section below. For now, thank you for watching and stay safe everyone.